It's Thanksgiving weekend, and we're going to talk about MAHA. So let's have a great show. And good morning, everybody. My name is Dr. Patrick Flynn, and welcome to this morning's A Different Perspective. I am always so glad you're joining us on Saturday morning, November 30th. We are almost to the end of this month. I hope everybody has had a wonderful, happy, healthy, and also safe Thanksgiving, because if you're in the Wisconsin area, it's hunting season, and as people know, I love to hunt, so it's kind of nice. I only get to go about 5 days a year, and so it's kind of nice sitting out in nature. I love being out in the woods, and no joke, it's just been so peaceful out there, so it's been wonderful. So I hope you guys had a wonderful time with your family, your friends, and maybe some people you haven't seen in a while. And I hope with all of the political stuff that everybody got together, found common ground, shared a wonderful holiday, and was thankful for all the things that they have. I am constantly thankful for all of you guys that watch me every Saturday morning. I'm thankful for you guys that watch us on all the platforms, and I'm so thankful for the team especially that I have around me every day. It makes my life so fun. So thank you for all these in the studio here on Saturday morning, our crowd of people. It's awesome. It's great. So happy Thanksgiving to everybody, and I hope it's been great for you. Now, it's been a great Thanksgiving weekend, but guess what happens? As you can see, coming up in the month of December, we have our December celebrations. Not a joke. Every year we give away a lot away. If you know somebody in need, please show them to come to the show. And guess what happens? They have a chance to win something. How do you do it? Just like you do it every Saturday. Interact. There's gonna be some other ways you can start to win. But what does happen, we love when people are here and commenting and doing stuff. And I mean this sincerely. If you know somebody that really needs something, reach out. Honestly, reach out. My email is pflynn@thewellnessway.com. I have multiple people, including myself, that look at it. Actually, believe it or not, I'm gonna be hunting later today. So what happens this, send me an email. I'm probably gonna get it. I'll probably between looking for the monster 30-point buck, whole nother UP song. But anyways, I'll be answering emails. If somebody you know really needs something and they're in financial trouble, stuff like that, let me know. Now, I have to put a disclaimer. I do have to put a disclaimer on this because I had somebody last year reach out to me, and no joke, they're like, Doc, I need so much help at this, and this. And just let you know, I'll find the person that needs the help, but I'm gonna stalk you for a little bit. And here's why. Because it happened last year, and because then my team sent a message to the person and said, sorry, you don't need the help. And they got really mad at me. They really did. But then I just happened to email a picture of them with their snowmobiles and things like that. So really what they said is they spent their money on a bunch of other stuff, and now they have money for this. And it's like I said, well, then sell your snowmobiles. Oh, I can't sell my snowmobiles. So it's not a joke. So if there's somebody that you really know that's in need, I'm willing to help anybody. I really am. But make sure you're really in need. I'm even sad that I have to bring that up, but last year I got a scathing email from this person saying you're lying on your show, this. And so I had to show them their activity on their snowmobiles. You know, it's really funny. I love social media from that standpoint. You can really see where people live their lives just by it that way. And so it's a wonderful thing. So during the time, if you know somebody needs help, email me. We'd love to help them out that way. It'd be great for the Christmas holiday in the month of December. So, and in the month of December, what you'll notice is I'm going to be covering on a daily aspect. As you guys know, I've been going pretty much live almost every day. But as you can see right here, during the time of December 5th, 6th, all through the whole 12 days of Christmas, I'm going to be covering each medicinal herb that people want to know more about that way. And you can see on the 5th, I'll start with elderberry. Then I'll talk about kava. I'll talk about California potty. And I'm going to go through some of the details and the major bioactive ingredients that are in all these and why they're so important. Now, once again, why do I want to do that? It's because I've had a lot of questions about, okay, what does this do? What does this do? Now, here's the tough part. It's very difficult for me to teach on individual herbs in general because people want to know the generalized benefits of them. I don't like to teach it that way because, yes, do they have some major effects? You could say, well, ashwagandha really is a help of a stress adaptogen. That's true, but how? And what is it going to do for that person? And how does it work? That's the big thing of how. How does that specific bioactive ingredient that you're looking for, how does it affect the adrenals? How does it affect maybe the pituitary? So I want to be able to talk about the things in a little bit more detail going over those. So just remember, we're going to have the 12 days of Christmas. I'm going to go through things. I'll be giving stuff away all through the time that way, including those supplements during that time. Now, we talked about last time we did this, and I couldn't believe how many sales we had. So people said, Doc, could you put this back up? I said, yes. We have our book that we are doing, as you can see right here. Let's the Giving Begin. There's a QR code right here. You get the new From Scratch cookbook, plus you get my two international best-selling books. There's a QR code right there. If you notice, the book sells for $49.95, the From Scratch cookbook. Each of my other books, I think, are $25, $30. Don't quote me exactly. Aaron, what are they? How much are they? Do you remember? $25. So basically, you're going to get almost $100 worth of books for the same price, just because my two books, I Disagree and I Still Disagree, have been international bestsellers. They still sell like crazy. So he said, okay, for this Christmas season, let's take the cookbook and let's give all 3 books away for the same exact price of the cookbook itself. So then you could actually buy the cookbook yourself and give their 2 books away, or vice versa. I tell people, listen, food's so very important. I think the cookbook is probably one of the best Christmas presents and stocking stuffers, even though you can't put it in a stocking directly, stocking stuffers that we can do with that. So do me a favor, Aiden, just one more second, put that slide up again. I just had somebody message here saying, Doc, could you put the QR code back on there? You guys are very responsive, it's kind of cool. But just right there, once again, the From Scratch cookbook, the 2 I Disagree books, right there, it's in a bundle, you get it shipped to you right away. We had ton of orders last week because of that way. I didn't realize that you guys, wouldn't really purchase that much, and so they asked for more things that way, so we're looking forward to it. That being said, as we have all these things going on, we do our giveaways every single week. We do about $1,000 worth of giveaways every single week for people that interact with us on a regular basis. So today we have 2 more people joining Aaron Walton. You're going to see Dr. Peter, and you're going to see, Dr. Sean's over there, he is. All right, let's introduce them. There they are. Here we go. Come over to them. We'll be kind of cool.
Good morning. I've said it before, and I say it again. I think I've got the coolest job ever. I get to meet the newest docs in town. So how about if you tell us your name and where you're headed after this?
Yeah. Hey everyone, I'm Sean Van Newkirk. I'm one of the student interns here at the Green Bay Clinic, and in just a couple short months, I'm going to be opening up in Leesburg, Virginia. So super excited for what's to come.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm Peter O'Toole, and I'm also an intern up here, and I'll be opening up ideally in Ankeny, Iowa, or somewhere around that area.
So fabulous. And of course, we've got our giveaways today. So what are we giving away today, Dr. Peter?
Yeah, so today we will be giving away elderberry, and elderberry will be fantastic for the season coming up with all the traveling, and it will help with the support of the immune system. And if you want to know a little bit more about it, make sure to keep an eye on Dr. Patrick's Live.
Yeah, absolutely. So keep interacting with us, and we'll be back at the end of the show to tell you who's winning some elderberry.
All right. Thank you so much, guys. We're excited about this. Remember, interact with Dr. Sean, Dr. Peter, Aaron, and all the team that's in back. Was said that you can't see, that's on all the platforms. We're live on all the platforms right now. And I'm very excited because of the things that have been changing politically that way. The only one that I'm really getting censored on much is TikTok. They don't really kick me off, but they actually, I've lost one account already, which had over 400,000 people. And I think it's built up already to like 50,000 already. But the idea is this is the things we're able to say, a little more freedom of speech out there. It's pretty exciting. Now speaking of exciting, and you saw Aaron, remember, go to our newsletter that I read every single Saturday morning on my phone. Go to the website, scroll all the way down to the bottom, and what's going to do is you're going to be able to see, where you can put your email address in, and therefore what's going to do, you'll put your email address in, then you'll be signed up for the newsletter. It's very exciting and stuff, so I said you get the weekly newsletter. Second of all, but I still believe the most important part of the website is going to our website to the top right, click on the website, and you can see Find a Clinic, and therefore you can see all the clinics that we do have there. Absolutely amazing. And once again, as you saw, there's other doctors that recently graduated, that there's more up there. This is an old picture. But the idea is then you saw Dr. Sean and Dr. Peter were the way they'll be going. And Dr. Peter's city he was talking about is more in the Des Moines area, for you guys that don't know the Iowa area quite well. So that we'll understand that we got the wonderful things that people can go and see on Find a Clinic. Wonderful, great people. Actually, no joke, is kind of cool. I was just texting one of my docs before this morning that way. Looks like we're adding another couple docs into the offices, down in different states. It's kind of neat. So not only do we have more docs going in each office, we have more offices. Go check them out. All right. So now what we're going to do is we're going to move into something that I believe I'm going to get a little emotional with. So let's move into our perspective today. All right, so super excited to talk about something that's very meaningful to me. 30 years of work, being able to contribute my opinions, my ideas, my expertise, you just whatever you want to call it that way, to people in political power, to people in political influence, things like that. And it started though when it came down to legitimately, why do I have a certain credibility? Why have I been asked to do certain things? Because, a long time ago, even when the internet came out, and I will tell you, I love media. I think media is fantastic. Thank you for watching it. But I only got on about 7.5 years ago, because before I always said, listen, if you ever want to really make an impact, sit across from a person one-on-one and then guide them to a better way of health. And that's one thing we did. As I said, Wellness Way started 26 years ago. It continues to get bigger every single year. Obviously, we've had massive momentum in the last 5 years. And we're always a big organization, just that what happened is we just kept on getting more docs and more nurses and more people and and more clinics, and it's fantastic. But if you can see right here, today we're going to talk about something that I believe is very influential. Here it is right here. MAHA, what we're fighting for, okay? And we're fighting for America's health. And it's important to know, because what goes on here is very simple, is we have people that obviously, once again, have some influence to be able to make some tracks when it does come to some policies that are going to be great for people. Because if we have certain policies, they're going to affect a lot of Americans. Why? Because there is things that do happen that are negatively affecting people, and they have no choice. For example, I am in favor of there being food programs for kids before they even go to school, because they'd be malnutrition or wouldn't get any nutrition if they did. But boy, the foods they give them, do you know what I'm saying? And what it leads to their health outcomes. Now, people say, well, Doc, it's better than nothing. Yes, but we can do better. We're a very wealthy country. We really are. And so I believe that we can do better for people. So what I'm going to do is go through some things, because I was very excited to see what happened over the last, basically year and a half. I remember getting the message about, RFK running for, president, and I'm very open about this, public record. I legally donated to them and stuff like that. And for a lot of people who don't know this, I voted for him. I apologize. I donated to him. But I will say this. I knew it, and if you think I'm joking, I asked my staff that's been with me for a long time, I said, they're not going to let him have a platform. Because you know why? Because he doesn't fit the basic narrative of what they want. And I said, the Democratic Party is going to not allow him, and look what happened. But I knew he would always have good influence, so I want to support people like this and their message. That's why I supported Children's Health Defense and everything they've done there. And obviously, then all of a sudden, as you know, once again, he joined forces with President Trump, and once again, that was a very good thing. And President Trump got elected, and now, just recently, as you guys know, it's coming soon for he has to get inaugurated here and everything, and then they're gonna be able to put cabinet people in. Trump picks RFK Jr. to be his Department of Health and Human Service Secretary, and I can tell you guys, I was literally so excited. I'm honest to tell you, I got choked up. I was sitting in Hawaii with a bunch of our team, and when they said Trump won, I knew that was going to have an effect on our healthcare in the future, and that's my view. I want to be a person that fights and contributes both personally, financially, and from a company standpoint to make America healthy again. Because there's nothing worse than having a person come in and describing how sick they were. And let me make this very clear. But if a person ended up in our office still this day, I want to make it very clear. They didn't start with us. They've been through the whole system. The people that we get have been through, let's say, medical failures and after failures and after failures, trusting their doctor, believing what they tell them, and then they end up in a really bad situation, okay? And so therefore, it's time for a change. So when we look at what's going on this way, we really look at the things that he wants to tackle. And it's been interesting because I have to give RFK some major props, because could you imagine some of the things that he has to go through just by trying to help people? Because he does have a very intense passion to help people and to make children better, make people better the way. And I was just blown away about watching the way people talk about him online. I tell people I'm used to criticism and being name called and things like this. Man, what that guy goes through, I would do it. I put myself through it. But the idea is this: what he has done is nothing short of a miracle. But he really talked about three major topics today, and I believe that if he can get these things through, as far as policies, I believe that the world changes. because the United States sets a lot of tone for things across the world. So here was 3 of his things he talked about on the platform and for MAHA and for things moving forward. He wants to end chronic disease. Okay, I think that's a very important thing. You're gonna see why in just a couple minutes. Clean up the corruption with the agencies and pharma. So basically like FDA, NIH, all the pharmaceutical drug companies, it's like a revolving door money laundering scheme. Number 3, back to good science, science-based evidence. It's really true. And what happens, and this is very common, and this is where we got censored massively because of it, is if you look at what good science is, there's certain standards that go out there, and you're going to find out, especially in one realm of, quote, they say, trust the science. Guess what happens? It's not good science. It's actually like crony science. I mean, the fact that it's all pushed towards one thing, they kind of mislead people, and it's very, very disgusting that they do this. And then all these experts and professionals and MDs and docs and public health people, they support it because, once again, they think their end justifies the means. But here's what happens. No matter what they say about RFK, and I'm going to go through some of the things, it's quite interesting. Statistically, how are we doing? You know what's really funny? It's like this. Let's take a simpler example. If all of a sudden a young man, this happens all the time, comes to me that's poor, okay? And he says, Doc, you've done well. You started out poor. I believe I started out less than poor, okay? Living on couches and things like that and stuff, and not joking, and going through college and doing things and starting the office on $500. I understand what poor is. I can honestly tell you guys, and I've said this multiple times, I can still remember having $5 in a week to food to survive. $5. It's not a joke, $5. And I did it. I didn't complain, I did it. Went to my classes, did everything, and I did it, okay? Now, I wish, for example, I didn't have to do that, but I did it, okay? That's the best thing about it. I moved forward and made sure I was doing the things I needed to do, kept on studying, had a little bit of food, sometimes skipped and fasted that day just because I didn't have the capital to do it that way, okay? And therefore, I pushed through, and then all of a sudden, I can relate. I can find common ground for that young man that says, hey, Doc, I want to do something in my life. And I would give him advice, and you'd be surprised because all of a sudden he said, well, this happened one time with a young man in his early 20s. He goes, well, I talked to my parents, and they think that's bad advice. I'm like, how much money do your parents make? I'm like, well, we're kind of poor. Okay, why would you take advice from a poor person on how to build wealth? Instead of being negative, it's just saying, how you doing? You grew up really poor, you're trying to change your life, and the people that are guiding you towards being poor again. And so that's why I kind of look at it this way when it comes to healthcare. Let's take a look at this. If they're so right, why is it that 6 out of 10 adults have a chronic illness and 4 out of 10 have 2 or more? And I'm going to show you a new stat coming up, but even look at this. When this was pulled out, $4.1 trillion in healthcare, okay? That's kind of like in college today. Go spend $100,000 for college and get a $30,000 a year job. You'll never pay your loans back. You'll always be in debt. If you look at the current advice we have for our current healthcare, you're always going to be sick. You're always going to have problems. See, so that's why I when I see these things, it just floors me. Because you look, here we go. Of course, American Public Health Association, America deserves better than RFK Jr. And let's take a look at what they said. The selection of President-elect Donald Trump of Robert F. Kennedy Jr. as Secretary of U.S. Department of Health and Human Services raised serious concerns for the health of the American people. Okay, keep that up there, Aiden, but here's what happens. Serious concerns for the health of the American people. We're really bad. We're really bad already. I have concerns about the people that have been in HHS before. To effectively lead our nation's top health agency, a candidate should have proper training, management skills, temperament, and trust of the public. I think that the trust of the public is there considering they voted that way. Unfortunately, Mr. Kennedy falls on all fronts. No, he does not. HHS, which consists of more than 80,000 federal employees, I hope they cut that to 25%, if not less, and oversee everything for drug, vaccine, and safety for medical research and Medicare, Medicaid should be led by someone considered management skills and the medical or public health training to truly understand the wide array of health issues involved. Okay, come back here for a second. How are we doing? Corruption, massively overemployed, Country's massively in debt, 1.7 trillion. We spend over what we have per year. Healthcare's a mess. People can't afford healthcare. Okay. So what do we deserve? Everything from the past administrations have led us up to this. So I said, so what do we deserve? You're the same status quo people have been there since its beginning. Let's keep on going on. Kenney's past statements and views on vaccines alone should disqualify him from consideration. He stated that there is no vaccine that is safe and effective. He's right. And toted misinformation claiming that vaccines cause autism. They do. A serious candidate for this position would follow the decades of real-world evidence that shows the vaccines are safe and prevent as many as 5 million deaths each year. You know, it's so funny. I love when they do that. They pull these stats out, and how can they even prove that? It's like, you know, COVID vaccine prevented hospital. Really? How? How? Do you say, you pull these numbers out, and on top of it, that makes no sense. Okay, let's go on. For more than 150 years, the American Public Health Association has championed science-based research and advocacy to efforts to improve the health of Americans. Yet it gets worse every year. We have a history of working closely with the federal officials and the Republican Democrats. Yes, they're both paid by pharma administrations, including members of the first Trump administration. Unfortunately, Robert Kennedy Jr. has demonstrated a consistent lack of willingness to listen, learn, and act in the best interests of the health and American people. Really? Then you don't know his history. He was identified in 2021 as the member of the Disinformation Dozen, which was made up, and produced 65% shares of anti-vaccine misinformation on social media, which is not misinformation, it's true information. That contributed to public health mistrust. It's not public health mistrust. Everybody knew that he was going to be a part of MAHA when he actually stood up there and endorsed Trump. In science, and likely led to morbidity and mortality. I love how they're like, oh, it's going to lead us to dark ages. They're living in the dark ages right now. We're sicker than ever. The American people deserve better, Mr. Kennedy. We need an HHS secretary under the Trump administration who will listen to science, not discredit. Okay, let's come back. Trump had one that was status quo. How did we do during COVID? How do we do? We see the devastating effects now 4 years later. The lies, the corruption, the cover-up, the things that Fauci did and lied about and things like that. So how do we deserve better? Because we do deserve better. That's why we voted this way. Here we go. We now expect to agree with the policy decisions of the new administration, but we will continue to work on behalf of the American people. I hope we don't, because you're failing, to improve their health by advocating for the best science-based health policies and programs, which you do not even follow. Achieving optimum health regardless of race, ethnicity, gender, identity, age, economic status, and geographic residence will remain our chief objective. Well, you failed dramatically over the last 150 years. We urge President-elect Trump to select qualified leaders and properly trained on health management skills to be a national top health official. We look forward to working with the incoming administration to advance effective evidence-based approach to improve the health of the nation. Well, you guys have failed dramatically. You guys have failed dramatically. You talk about your 150 years. We've gotten worse every year. So I would tell people, you're responsible. Your public health officials are responsible. They've been pushing this stuff, and things can get worse. And stats show, but here's what happens, take a look at this. Maybe if you got your finances separated from this thing, our financial payments for the pharmaceutical industry associated with physician prescribing a systemic hero. Of course, the association between industry payments and physician prescribing was consistent across all studies that have been evaluated the association. Finding regards a temporal association and dose response suggests a causal response. No kidding, and guess what happens? Conflicts of interest are an ongoing threat to medical practice. Studies have shown that doctors' treatment decisions can directly be swayed by industry payments. Corruption. Pharmaceutical and medical device companies also assert indirect influence through the funding through leaders and guideline authors. Government and professional bodies have attempted to rein the impact of conflicts of interest in recent decades. Most medical journals now require standards of conflict of interest declarations. The U.S. Physician Payments Sunshine Act requires manufacturers of drugs and devices to publicly report payments to the physicians, which nobody looks up. These efforts have curtailed the overall number of physicians receiving payments for industry, although the large payments of more than $50,000 might have increased. Oh, so they just give you bigger amounts. Financial relationships, even substantial ones, are not always nefarious, but patients, doctors, and regulators are right to be weary of the power of the purse. No kidding. We talked about there's so much corruption that happens through this process. And so that's why when people say follow the science, no, follow the money. You say, that's why if you ever notice, if you ever think of this, I will tell you this. I heard this, and it was such a great thing. There's the public sector and there's a private sector. If you have something great to offer the world of value, You go to the private sector, and guess what happens? And I think government has a really good position, but there should be nothing more than expert administrators. That's it. But see, what happens is people go because they know that they can actually try to get power and control and build wealth without bringing value to the world. See, the government doesn't bring value to the world. It's never supposed to. That's why when government tries to get involved with business, that's when corruption and conflicts happen. Government is just supposed to be an administrator. That's it. I want expert administrators. I want in the private sector, what happens is this. That's where innovation and things like that, and there shouldn't be a connection between the two, because that's when corruption does happen. Because look at the CDC's recent publishing on their website. Fast facts, health and economic costs of chronic conditions. Chronic disease accounts for more illness, disability, and death in the United States and are leading drivers of the healthcare costs. The impact of chronic illness. 95% of the nation's 4.5 trillion, see, it went up in 2024. Annual healthcare expenditures are for people with chronic and mental health conditions. Interventions to prevent and manage these diseases can have significant health and economic benefits. So I love this. If you think about it this way, disease management is where most of the money comes from. They don't spend any money really on prevention. If they would, then they would make things more accessible for people like us. Now, once again, let's take a look. US ranks last in healthcare compared with 9 other high-income countries report finds. See, we're one of the worst. So we spend the most, and we're one of the worst. Let me say it again. We spend the most, and we're one of the worst. Now, saying up, we need change. That's why we all voted for it. See, one thing that can bring us all together is this. Raise your hand if you want to be healthy. What about for your kids? What about for your grandmas? What about for your grandpas? What about for everybody that you dearly care about? I guarantee this past Thanksgiving, just 2 days ago, you were sitting with family and there was somebody that was suffering, or the conversation came a lot about somebody that was sick and suffering, or somebody that died prematurely. See, I don't care what your political affiliation is, healthcare, somebody suffering, things that can improve people's lives. That's common ground for all of this. I don't care what your political affiliation is. If you see a child that's 2, 6, 8 years old suffering and sick, every parent can feel the pain of that parent, regardless of what their beliefs or ethnicity or anything is. Because you know why? That's our common ground. Our common ground is we don't want to see somebody's grandma who's 70 years old suffering. We don't. What if there was ways that we could do this? And see, instead of actually looking at them like a customer, instead of actually what we can do for their health. So I'm going to give you what will I be fighting for when it comes to healthcare policy? I have more than this. I said to Aaron, I said, you know something, Aaron? I'm going to write down some things, and I think I'm going to go through 3 things today. I couldn't stop at 3, and I have much more than what I even have today. But I'm going to tell you some things that are dear to me. Now, why? Because we all have experiences in life that lead to things of why we fight for it. I can honestly tell you, I've watched some political things where I watched some politicians that I really supported because they went through something very tragic, and they're very passionate and willing to fight for it. And actually, I watched a woman, one of our congresswomen, said, I would die on the Hill for this because she went through such a bad experience. For example, you know, we all have experiences that we go through, and that's where we kind of sometimes tailor our life towards. If you ever have somebody that, you know, let's say you have a child that had cancer, then you try to sometimes raise money for cancer research. Let's say there's been some bad things happen to women, SA, I can't say the word, always does it, and then they raise money and do things to bring awareness to that kind of thing, which I think is all phenomenal, okay? I think that that awareness should be on everybody's radar that way. That being said, there's things that I've dealt with for 30 years, and I can say some things that relate to my stuff. And remember, guys, I'm in the position right now and built the Wellness Way based on my own healthcare experiences when I was little, and realized I didn't get answers, so I had to create something different and new, and something that allowed me to actually have a platform. And if you would ask me 30 years ago that when I was, you know, thinking about doing this stuff, and you know, and I really wanted to be a chiropractor since I was 13. So that's almost 37 years ago. But I really got wind of all the things as I was going through my undergraduate degree and my graduate degree and stuff like this, and started putting everything together. Like, oh my goodness, I now have a major passion for it, and I've built a whole company on it, you know, to do this. So there's things that I would like to see because I know it'd be universal for everybody. So these things that I show you will give you massive universal help to everybody. It's common ground for everyone because it will make their life better. So number one, some policy I'd like to see. I'd like to see them get rid of the 1986 Protection Act. Okay? This is where they gave zero liability to drug companies when it came to making vaccines. And it's in the document itself. It talks about they cause unavoidable harm. So don't tell me, public health official, on the last slide, or the slides ago, when it says that spraying misinformation of being safe and effective. They said they're unavoidably harmful. Okay? That means you cannot avoid the harm that comes from them. It's in the legislation. Okay? So therefore, if they're liable, they will do everything they possibly can to make it a safe product. Proper studies, which there has not been proper studies. Let me give you an example. And this may get me censored, and I'm okay. I'm okay doing this because look this up. If there was a medication that they wanted to bring to market, they would say, okay, we're going to do a double blind, which means both groups have no idea what they're taking, controlled study. They're going to take this medication and say, okay, this medication can help for blood pressure. They have both groups. They have two groups. One group gets the true drug. One group gets a sugar pill. Sugar pill that's going to have no negative things that happen whatsoever. Zero. Okay? And then what they do is they then compare, and they compare it to the placebo group and compare it to people that took the medication. Double blind, randomized, nobody knows. And then guess what happens? They took the people who took a sugar pill and see if there was benefits and see if there's negative side effects. And of course, there usually never is because it's sugar pill. And they take the medication. And then there can be some negative side effects. And if they're dramatic between the groups, if there's a very big, high bunch of side effects, they say, can't do this medication, reformulate it, do something with it, take it off. I think that's pretty good science. See, that's not how they study these things. They say, here is our vaccine. Now, instead of injecting them with saline solution or something that's inert, something that has zero effects, they do another vaccine. And so when the negative side effects and damages are universally bad on both sides, they're like, look, it's no different than a placebo. That's like this. That's like saying, I can prove to you this holiday weekend that Jack Daniels will not get you drunk. I'm going to give you 7 shots of Jack Daniels, and then I'll give you 7 shots of tequila, and you're going to respond the same. So look it's no different than a placebo. That's good science. See, Jack Daniels does not get you drunk. It's science. Trust the science. It's not a joke. That's how they do it. That's not good science. That's not evidence. That's not what people think is happening. They're thinking they call it a placebo, but that placebo is tequila. And that's not a standard substance that has no reaction. But what happens is because the side effects are the same as a placebo, look, it's no different. It would happen regardless. So don't tell me when you look at this act. And here's the worst part, guys. You talk about government spending and corruption. It says, and they're unavoidably, can't unavoid harm. So therefore, what we're going to do is this. When there's harm, we're not going to go through the court system the way it's supposed to be. We're going to have a special court system, which is, once again, influenced by pharmaceutical drug companies and the makers of it. And when we do find some things, we're going to pay it with tax dollars. So you got the shot, the drug company got paid, and then there's zero liability. Zero liability. Think about that. Think about how crazy that is. This thing has to be wiped out. Make them liable again. Make drug companies liable again. Next, number 2, food subsidies. All right, it's kind of funny. I'm so happy that the government subsidizes avocados and, grass-fed beef and all things like that. No, okay? It's really funny. It goes to big ag, big farming. It's really funny. And our history, the United States, was plenty of farms, good family farms that did great things. But food subsidies are so common, and they subsidize some of the most devastating foods that actually make you sick. They even did, Emory Medicine did a study on this. They subsidize high-fat, high-calorie subsidies. A new study found that the people who eat lots of foods derived from crops most heavily subsidized by the government, wheat, corn, rice, sorghum, soybean, dairy, livestock, have a higher risk rate of diabetes and cardiovascular disease. Wow, isn't that crazy? Yeah, it's kind of crazy, isn't it? So what they're doing highly processed foods. They're doing massively corn-fed, grain-fed cows, which you gotta know does not give you good grass-fed quality beef, which can be very inflammatory. Which, for example, they give you subsidized to things that turn out to contribute to diabetes and cardiovascular disease. Some of the biggest killers when it comes to our health. So we need to stop subsidizing these foods. Let's take a look. Some critics of farm subsidies say that the money harms more people than it helps, particularly in the environment and public health. A study found that people who eat a lot of these foods from crops that are heavily subsidized by the government have higher risks of diabetes and cardiovascular disease. Isn't that crazy? So you think, well, no, it's going to help the farmers. Well, I would have no problem if the subsidies helped farmers that produce things that are going to lead to extreme health. You know, when was the last time you saw that? You know, it's really funny. It's interesting. You know, I kind of find it funny that when you go to a grocery store, you know, you go down the health food aisle, well, then what is the rest of it? All highly processed, subsidized foods. And I do agree with the working person. I really do on this. I agree with the working person that works in factories and things like that, to where all of a sudden these big companies get high subsidies. They don't pay a good wage for the working individual. And then all the CEOs and all the things take millions of dollars of paychecks. If you're getting government money, that should not be allowed. That should not be allowed. It really shouldn't. Because you know why? It's like, that's what creates corruption. Because if I can lobby then and get things to subsidize to me, well, we can have the workers, we're gonna pay them, you know, bottom dollar, and then we're gonna take out massive bonuses and things like that. And that's what happens. And I'm frustrated for the American worker that way. I'm very proud. I employ a ton of people, and that's my people. I pay really well, really well. I'm very clear about this. If our company does well, everybody does well. Everybody, you understand? Because we're in this together. I don't get any government money, zero, zilch. Okay, let me make that very clear. There's nothing they subsidize for us at all. We are simple capitalism. We offer value to the American public and actually people across the world. They say, thank you, Dr. Flynn. And then I actually get paid, and I say, thank you. Thank you, thank you. That's called capitalism. If there's government involvement in gifts and subsidies and bribes and that's not capitalism. They say criminal capitalism, that's not capitalism. Don't use the word capitalism. Capitalism is exchange of value. The Wellness Way has brought great value, and that's why not only has it survived, but thrived and gets bigger every year based on good value it brings to the world. See, so that's why when they subsidize, these are bad things. So I feel sorry for the American worker. I feel sorry for the things that they're doing to these people. And then what happens is then they give big bonuses to these people, and so they just lobby and do more stuff like that. Okay? Second of all, I want to see them change the grass. Okay? Now let me explain what this is. It's food labeling for generally recognized as safe. GRAS is an acronym for the phrase generally recognized as safe under Section 201 and 409 Federal Food and Drug and Cosmetic Act. Any substance that is intentionally added to food is a food additive that is subject to pre-market review and approval by the FDA, unless the substance is generally recognized among qualified experts as having been adequately shown to be safe under conditions of the intent, use, or useless on the use of substance and otherwise expected for the definition of the food additive. Now, I was like, okay, great. Looks like the FDA is doing research on the things and seeing if it's safe or not. There's no saying. The fox guarding the hen house. They produce their research and give it to the FDA, and they say, looks good. And that's why you get the rotating government job, and then you go to the private sector because you've approved all our stuff, and that's where we see all the corruption. Look at all the administrations, including Trump's first administration. It's just a revolving door between food, big ag, big pharma, and actually political and jobs. And it's kind of crazy. And here's what happens. The FDA doesn't do the studies. They read and go, okay, approved. And they're approved for marketing. It's really sad. So the people who say it's generally recognized as safe are the people who produce it. Conflict of interest there. Next, us paying for medications. Us, not US. Us paying for drugs. Here we go. Public research funding and pharmaceutical prices. Do Americans pay twice for drugs? Now, here we go. Discussion about 15% of new drugs are based on at least one patent that relied on public funding. Okay? Do you understand that there's many medications? I thought about going through them, but I found so many of them, which that is crazy. Watch this. Watch this. Let me come here. Okay? Do you understand where the money came to even research COVID vaccine, which wasn't even good research? And the production of it came from the government. And then it was sold all over the world and things like that. And pharmaceutical drug companies made billions, hundreds of billions. How much did you get? That was your tax dollars. There's drugs that the government gives drug companies, because this is the corruption, to study, research, produce. And then when the goes out to market, makes billions, guess what happens? You as a tax dollars that paid for that, did you get your investment back? Did you get your profit? Did you get true capitalism to your investment into a company that's a private sector company? You didn't, did you? You say, but all the stockholders and CEOs and people at the drug company got their bonuses, got their stuff. Corruption. People don't realize. It's kind of sad, isn't it? See, all these things are very frustrating when we look at it this way, because they're taking your tax dollars and actually giving it to corrupt people. If you really believe that your vaccine, your drug, and everything is going to be effective and safe and change the world, then go out there and show the value that it has. And if you did, then the people would see it and come and say thank you. And they pay you. See, if you really have a great product, go show the world and then see the end result. But see, if it was done that way, none of this would happen. They wouldn't have the billions upon hundreds of billions of dollars that come through their doors. It has to be used from croniness. One that surprises people like crazy, the FDA rounding rule. Next, I'd like to see change. What's that? It's really funny. When you have highly processed foods that big companies and big ag and big food all own, because of the internet, and during it, guys, if social media did not exist, and that's why Elon Musk is one of the greatest things ever did happen to the world, because they tried to shut him up. They tried to control everything, and he told them, go to hell. But the idea is this, is they can lie to you. Don't believe me? Look at a highly processed food. And I love this. It's like, don't eat that as trans fat. No, it says on the food label that has 0 trans fats. Yes, because you can round your ingredient up or down. Not a joke, okay? Watch this. Here we go. Let's take a look. Let's just go to the second bracket right there. Trans fats. Total fats. Look at what they say. If it's less than 0.5 grams, you can round it and say there's 0. Hold the phone. Let's go back to that graph. Let's go back. If it's less than 0.5 grams, you round down as 0. Okay, that'd be like saying a woman got pregnant. It's less than 5 days. She can still say she's not pregnant. You know, it's just a little bit pregnant, but we call it not pregnant. And I know I'm making a dumb example, but think about this. So even if you're labeling things and you read it and you go, it says 0 trans fat. It says this, it says sodium. Get this, even let's go down a little bit more, okay? All the highly processed sodium, let's take a look at the graph again. If it's less than 5 milligrams, you can round down to 0. It's actually called the FDA rounding rules. Isn't that crazy? What's so bad about, I can honestly tell you, you're gonna laugh about this. I'm a capitalist, freedom, government non-intervention. I think that big companies should be able to put every horrible, toxic ingredient in anything they want. I really do. as long as they are honest, divulge, and not lie, and not say it's GRAS, it's not generally recognized as safe, and do things like that, and keep them honest, and let people choose what they want to do. We have choices. But see, there's a lot of great moms that this weekend, that guess what happens? I know a lot of women like this. They worked Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and they had to get Thanksgiving ready on Thursday. They had family coming over, they had friends. They had some stress. The last thing that they're expecting is that our government is allowing agencies to lie to you, and they think they're doing something healthy for the family. And I can guarantee that the vast majority of people, even that have followed me for a long period of time, didn't even realize that there is a rounding rule. That if you thought you were eating something healthy, it has things in there that way actually can harm you. Crazy, isn't it? Sometimes, it's crazy because if you want to be healthy, you basically have to research everything. Because you know why? There's so much lies and corruption you don't want to believe anymore. And it's hard enough as a hardworking American that puts in many hours per week, working, and sometimes for really crappy pay because you don't have bosses like me. And all of a sudden, you just want to go home and relax and see your beautiful family and kids and some friends. Then now you have to become a doctor just to feed your family? Sorry. That's not good policy for good, hardworking Americans. And so you wondered why, I supported and voted for Donald Trump. Because guess what happens, guys? We did it. We did it. RFK is heading to there. And these are things that he's trying to do. Reduce chronic illness, stop the corruption, get people healthy again. It's only getting worse. Look at our people-powered movement is more powerful than Wall Street, big tech, big pharma, big food, and the war machine. That's what they're trying to do to everybody. See, we have common ground here, guys. We have common ground that everybody, regardless of if you voted for Kamala or President Trump, we have common ground that these things, the rounding rule affects Democrats or Republicans or independents. The labeling, the GRAS, the GRAS, the 1986 Vaccine Protection Act, and I could go on and on and on about the universities and how they get a 1% to 10% royalty forever if they participate in drug research and they have a bias to it that way. You see researchers and stuff getting paid off and they tell people to follow the science. I hope that all the corrupt people are just shaking their boots right now. Do you think there hasn't been special meetings between big tech, big pharma, big food, Wall Street, of all things? They're nervous about what's coming down the pipe. I can honestly tell you, President Trump did put some good people. One person I'm kind of like, okay, I'd like to ask you why. You know what I'm saying? But I have great confidence because the overviewing arching man is Robert F. Kennedy Jr. looking at the whole HHS and all those organizations even that I question about a little bit. So I'm excited. But you know something is this? Even before this, I fought for these things. I brought them to your attention because we saw it was devastating people's health for a long period of time. Speaking of that, like I said before, it's with Thanksgiving weekend. If you know somebody that is less fortunate, really needs help, reach out. The Christmas season is coming up. I'm a huge Christmas love person. Oh man, I got sappy. My staff even laughs because I'm walking around blasting Christmas music. It's kind of funny. It's like every time I play this one song, they have to take a shot of one of the herbs. It's kind of funny. They created that. The graphics team did. It's kind of funny and hilarious. Because I just love the Christmas season because it's giving. Because you know what's really funny? Something that's universal for everything is kindness. It's kindness. Now, kindness does not mean you're nice all the time. I'm not nice all the time because I will fight when people have laws like this that hurt you. Kind people can be very strong and a warrior when they see the kind people being taken advantage of. And that's why you see me fight, and I will fight like crazy till God takes my last breath. And so we like to give things away. So we're going to go back to Dr. Sean, Dr. Peter, and Aaron, and they have some giveaways for you guys today.
Well, that was a lot of fun. Do
Yeah.
you want to tell us how we're going to handle our giveaways today?
Yeah, so for the first 15 people who email giveaways at thewellnessway.com down below, you're going to be entered first in line for our awesome giveaways.
Yeah, absolutely. So there was something I forgot to do at the top of the show. I forgot our biggest giveaway of the day, our Academy winner. So here we are. We held you out to the end. So I'm excited to share. Today's Academy winner has always had an interest in wellness from a young age. Actually, her mom was rather sick as she was a child with various health illnesses and had to travel internationally. So she's completely healed today, but that has left a mark on our winner today, Kathy Cole. Welcome to the Wellness Way Academy. We're so happy to have you there. And so happy Thanksgiving, everyone. It was a fabulous
Happy
day.
Thanksgiving.
Absolutely.
All right. Well, congratulations to all the winners. Man, our team has been just like giving a ton of stuff away. First team was thinking this. I said, they set that up. Really awesome about that. I'm so excited that they just see all the wonderful people that are constantly messaging everything that way. So now remember, we're doing no last 10% today. We're just going to talk about our TW Plus. Remember, we have behind our scenes where we have premium articles, videos, interviews, and uncensored content, and it's our subscription based and stuff like that. You get exclusive Q&As with me and stuff. There's great, discounts and things like that. You can go on there, use the promo code DISAGREE, 3 months free. It's kind of cool to sign up. And guys, remember, when we talk about this Thanksgiving, stay healthy. When you talk about politics, stay free, because that's why people say, Doc, you talk about politics a lot. When you look at everything to where the government and big food, pharma, and everything have intertwined to affect your health and life negatively, yeah, I'm going to talk about politics because I'm out there fighting for you every day. Because I don't want my girls to have to walk into a grocery store and look at a label and it's lying to you. Transparency and just the truth goes a long ways. God bless all you guys. Happy Thanksgiving weekend. For all you hunters, be safe. You guys have a wonderful week. We'll see you next week. Thank you for watching. Make sure to subscribe to this channel so you don't miss a single video or live stream. Each week on A Different Perspective, we bring you the most cutting-edge information on health you won't find anywhere else. For more information on this topic, please visit our website. A Different Perspective offers life-changing information and resources to share and explore. A Different Perspective is leading a health revolution.